Anxiety isn't a monster hiding under the bed, it's a hostile takeover. It begins the moment a future that hasn't happened yet starts issuing orders in your present. It drags you into imaginary disasters, forces you to rehearse losses you haven't suffered, and then invoices you for them in sleep, focus, appetite, peace. You think you're being careful, you're being conquered. Pain is direct, it arrives with proof. Anxiety is different. Anxiety is speculation, promoted to command. A prediction, treated like evidence. A nervous system, tricked into believing that maybe means now. That's why it spreads. You can't win an argument with a fog. You can't soothe a threat that keeps changing its shape. And the more you chase certainty, the more anxiety feeds, because it was never asking to be reassured. It was asking to rule. So here is the Machiavellian cure. Stop negotiating with it. Stop trying to feel safe. Safety is a mood, and moods are unreliable citizens. Instead, build authority. Organize your inner world the way serious rulers organize a state. Attention becomes territory. Protect it. Thoughts become messengers. Interrogate them. Emotions become factions. Do not let them form a coalition against you. Habits become laws. Enforce them without drama. Anxiety doesn't disappear when you understand it. It retreats when it realizes there is a stronger power in the room. So, I'll ask you one question, the kind that changes the direction of a life. Are you going to remain a subject inside your own mind? Or are you finally going to govern it? Let's begin. The first cure is not calming down. It is naming the enemy correctly. Most anxiety is not a feeling. It is a false alarm system that has been granted executive power. It scans the horizon for danger, finds vague shapes in the fog, then forces you to obey as if the threat is already at your door. You don't live in the present. You live in rehearsal, and rehearsals become reality when repeated often enough. A Machiavellian mind does something ruthless. It separates information from theater. An anxious thought is not a prophecy. It is a report from a nervous messenger who may be corrupt, dramatic, or simply incompetent. Your mistake has been treating every message as a royal decree. You read the headline and immediately mobilize. Heart racing, muscles tight, attention collapsing into a single point of dread. Here is the first law. No thought gets authority without evidence. When anxiety speaks, you do not argue with it emotionally. You cross-examine it like a hostile witness. What exactly is the claim? What is the evidence? What is the probability? What would I do if it happened? And most importantly, what decision must be made today, in the real world, not in the imagined one? This turns anxiety from a tyrant into an employee, and employees can be managed. Then comes the second move, contain it. Anxiety expands because you give it endless territory, so you give it borders. You assign it a time and a place, 15 minutes, same hour every day, a private court session. During that window, you let the mind present its complaints. You write them down, brutally specific. Outside that window, you do not negotiate. When the anxious impulse returns, you say, "Not now. You'll be heard at trial. This is not suppression. This is governance." Anxiety thrives in unstructured space. It dies in structured time. If you do this for 1 week, something shifts. Your body learns a new hierarchy. The mind learns that panic does not set the schedule anymore. And once you control the schedule, you control the state. Power begins here, not by erasing fear, but by demoting it. Anxiety survives because it has learned a simple trick. It confuses possibility with priority. In your mind, every could becomes an immediate must. Every distant risk demands urgent attention. That is how you get exhausted without moving. You spend your life guarding doors no one is trying to enter. A Machiavellian cure begins with triage. Rulers do not treat every rumor like an invasion. They rank threats. They decide what deserves resources and what deserves contempt. Your nervous system doesn't do this naturally. It wants to treat all alarms as equal, because that once kept humans alive. But you are not running from lions. You're running from scenarios. So you install a hierarchy, Here is the law. Urgency is not real until it has a deadline. When anxiety hits, you force it into 3 categories. Immediate, a real problem with a real deadline inside 24 hours. Scheduled, a real problem, but not today. Imagined, a story with no evidence, no deadline, and no actionable decision. Immediate gets action. Scheduled gets a plan. Imagined gets dismissed, not comforted. Dismissed, because anxious minds keep trying to buy certainty by paying with attention. And attention is your currency. Spend it like a strategist, not like a beggar. Now the second layer. Convert fear into logistics. If something belongs in scheduled, you don't keep thinking about it. You turn it into a single next step. 1 phone call, 1 email, 1 appointment, 1 page of work. Anxiety hates next steps because next steps create closure. It prefers endless rumination because rumination feels like control while producing none. So you cut the loop, write the next step down, put it on a calendar, then you stop. This is not positivity. This is administration. And finally, you must learn the most violent skill against anxiety: strategic boredom. When the mind starts spinning what-if fantasies, you respond with the same cold tone you would use on a court jester who keeps interrupting a war meeting. Not now, not relevant, not proven. Then you return to the task in front of you, even if your body protests, especially if it protests, because the body learns through repetition, not through arguments. Anxiety loses power when it stops getting reactions, not when it stops existing. Your goal is not to feel calm. Your goal is to become unbribable. Your anxiety is not only in your mind, it is in your posture, your breath, your jaw, your stomach, your rituals. It is a body trained to expect betrayal. That is why insight alone fails. You can understand your patterns perfectly and still feel the same dread at 2 a.m. Because the body does not obey philosophy. The body obeys repetition. So the Machiavellian cure here is simple and unsentimental. You build a physical regime that makes anxiety expensive to sustain. Third law, breath is a lever of authority. When anxiety rises, your breathing becomes shallow and fast, and your brain reads that as proof of danger. The body panics, then the mind invents reasons. You think thoughts create feelings. Often, it's the opposite. So you interrupt the chain at the lowest point, the breath. Slow inhale through the nose, longer exhale through the mouth. Again, not to relax, to signal command. The long exhale tells the nervous system, stand down. The message is chemical, not poetic. Fourth law, movement is a purge. Anxiety is mobilization with nowhere to go. Your body prepares for action and you trap it in a chair. That energy turns inward and becomes dread, so you give it an exit. Walk hard for 10 minutes. Push the floor away. Lift something heavy. Sweat is not self-care. Sweat is containment. Fifth law, sleep is your border wall. An anxious mind loves midnight because defenses drop and imagination becomes king. So you defend the gate. Same bedtime, same wake time, no negotiations. Darkness, cold room, no glowing screens feeding the court with propaganda. And here's the ruthless part. You do these things even when you don't feel like it, especially then, because every time you obey anxiety's discomfort, you train it to command you. Every time you act despite discomfort, you train it to submit. This chapter is not about wellness. It is about control. A ruler does not ask the body what mood it is in before enforcing the law. They enforce the law, and over time, the body stops screaming because it learns a new truth. You are not here to be protected. You are here to lead. Anxiety is a parasite of attention. It does not need truth. It needs focus. It needs you to stare at the same thought until it becomes a cathedral. And if you do not decide what deserves your attention, something else will decide for you. So the Machiavellian cure is to treat attention like guarded territory. Sixth law, you do not stop thinking. You redirect jurisdiction. When anxiety arrives, it tries to drag your mind into a single room and lock the door. It wants monopoly. So you deny it monopoly by expanding your field of control with a deliberate anchor. Choose an anchor that is physical and immediate. The contact of your feet with the floor, the weight of your hands, the sound in the room, a sentence you repeat like a command. I am here, not there. This is not mindfulness as softness. This is discipline as weapon. Seventh law, remove the feed. Anxiety is a media addict. It thrives on constant novelty, outrage, comparison, disaster. Every scroll is a new rumor delivered to your inner court, and your court was never trained to ignore rumors. So, you cut the supply line. You set fixed windows for information intake, not endless grazing, 1 or 2 checks per day for news and messages. The rest is silence. You are not missing out. You are refusing manipulation. Eighth law, create a single objective. Anxiety multiplies when your day has no clear target. An unclaimed day becomes a battlefield for every worry you've ever had. So you claim it early. Before the world speaks to you, you choose one outcome that matters today. 1, not 10. 1 decisive move. When anxiety interrupts, you return to that objective like a king returning to the war map. Because the mind respects clarity. It panics in ambiguity. And now the cruel truth. Attention is a form of worship. Whatever you repeatedly attend to becomes your master. So if you want to cure anxiety, you don't beg it to leave. You starve it. You give your attention to what builds power, action, structure, skill, and a mind trained to obey your command, not your fear. Anxiety is often loyalty to a fictional judge, a voice in your head that is never satisfied, never impressed, never quiet. It measures your future against perfection and declares you guilty in advance. You call it standards. But if your standards make you freeze, they are not standards. They are shackles. The Machiavellian cure is to replace the judge with a strategist. Ninth law, perfection is a delay tactic masquerading as virtue. An anxious mind doesn't fear failure as much as it fears exposure, so it tries to stay unready forever. It tells you, wait until you feel confident, wait until you know more, wait until you can't be criticized. But confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is often the reward for surviving action. So, you adopt a brutal policy. You act while imperfect. You send the message that's not elegant. You start the project with a rough draft. You show up before you feel ready. You let the work be seen in its early form. This does 2 things. It breaks the illusion that preparation prevents pain, and it teaches your nervous system that exposure is survivable. 10th law, trade the grand outcome for the small conquest. Anxiety loves enormous, undefined goals because they create endless room for dread. Fix my life. Make the right choice. Don't mess this up. Those are not goals. Those are fog. So, you reduce everything to the next measurable conquest. Write 1 page. Make 1 call. Walk for 20 minutes. Do the first 5 minutes of the hard thing. Your mind cannot terrorize you about a mountain if your only job is the next step. 11th law, accept the cost up front. What you resist is not the event, it is the uncertainty of the pain. So you end the negotiation by naming the price. This may go badly. I may be judged. I may lose something. I will survive it. When you accept the cost, anxiety loses its favorite weapon, suspense. A ruler does not eliminate risk. A ruler eliminates hesitation. And when you stop living under a fictional judge, your mind becomes what it was always meant to be, a weapon for decisions, not a factory for fear. Your anxiety is not only fear, it is a dependency, a habit of checking, reassuring, reviewing, scanning, replaying. You touch the same mental bruise 100 times a day just to confirm it still hurts. And every time you check, your brain learns a lesson. The danger must be real because we keep verifying it. This is how anxiety becomes self-sustaining. So the Machiavellian cure in this chapter is withdrawal. 12th law, reassurance is a drug with a short half-life. You ask someone if you'll be okay. You reread the message. You look up symptoms. You check your bank account again. You recheck the lock. You replay the conversation. For a moment, the pressure drops. Then it comes back stronger. Because the mind doesn't register reassurance as safety. It registers it as a ritual required for safety. And rituals become chains, so you cut them, deliberately, not all at once, like a martyr, strategically, like a ruler weakening a rival faction. Pick one compulsive check. 1. Set a rule. I will delay it by 10 minutes, then 20, then an hour. Delay is domination. When you can delay the impulse, you can command it. 13th law. Uncertainty must be practiced. Anxiety is the refusal to live without guarantees. But guarantees do not exist. So you train yourself the way soldiers train in harsh weather. By controlled exposure. Leave the message unread for an hour. Send the email without rereading it 5 times. Walk out the door without checking the stove again. Let a question remain unanswered. You will feel heat in the chest. Tightness. The mind will scream for relief. Good. That is the feeling of the old regime losing power. 14th law. Replace the ritual with a protocol. You do not remove a habit and leave a vacuum. You replace it with a colder, higher order action. When the urge to check appears, you do a fixed alternative. Write 1 sentence of what you will do if the worst happens. Then return to your task, or take 10 slow breaths, or move your body for 2 minutes. Same replacement every time. Consistency creates new wiring. Anxiety hates this because it can't negotiate with policy. And that is the point. You are not trying to feel safe. You are training yourself to function without permission. Anxiety is rarely just fear of danger. It is fear of losing control of how you are seen. Most people are not haunted by catastrophe. They are haunted by humiliation, rejection, disappointment, being revealed as not enough. So they attempt to control perception through overthinking, people-pleasing, explaining themselves too much, apologizing in advance, polishing every sentence until it has no teeth. This is not kindness. It is submission disguised as politeness. The Machiavellian cure is to reclaim your image through restraint. 15th law. Stop over-explaining. Over-explaining is an anxious confession. Please don't misunderstand me. Please don't judge me. Please don't leave. And the world hears it clearly. The more you justify yourself, the more you signal weakness, and the more your mind learns that your safety depends on managing everyone's reactions. It doesn't. Say less. Say it once. Let silence carry weight. 16th law. Let others misread you. This is where anxious people panic. They believe every misunderstanding must be corrected immediately, or disaster will follow. But rulers understand a brutal truth. Being partially misunderstood is normal. Trying to control every interpretation is how you lose your time and your spine. If someone thinks you're cold, let them. If someone thinks you're arrogant, let them. If someone is uncertain about you, good. Uncertainty creates space. Space creates power. 17th law. Choose respect over approval. Approval is addictive because it feels like safety, but approval changes with weather. Respect is slower, colder, and far more stable. Respect is earned through boundaries, consistency, and the ability to withstand discomfort without collapsing into performance. So you practice a new posture. You do not chase. You do not beg. You do not rush to smooth tension. You hold your ground with calm eyes and measured words. Anxiety weakens when you stop treating social comfort as survival. Because the truth is this: you cannot govern your mind while living as a servant to other people's perceptions. Anxiety is amplified by one fatal illusion: that you must solve your entire life to earn peace, so you keep the whole world on your shoulders. Every future decision, every relationship, every risk, every possible outcome. You try to manage it all at once, and your mind responds the only way it can: panic. Not because you are weak, but because you have appointed yourself to an impossible job. The Machiavellian cure is delegation. 18th law. Reduce the kingdom. A ruler does not govern the universe. A ruler governs what is within the walls. Everything else is weather. So you draw a hard boundary between what you control and what you influence and what you cannot touch. Control. Your actions, your schedule, your words, your preparation, influence, outcomes, other people, timing, opportunities, no control, the past, other people's feelings, random misfortune, the final verdict of the world. Anxiety lives in the third category. It feeds on your attempt to rewrite reality, so you stop. 19th law, issue standing orders. When you don't have standing orders, every anxious moment becomes a fresh debate. Debate drains you. Debate invites fear to the table. So you write policies in advance. If I feel panic, I will slow my breath and move my body for 10 minutes. If I don't know what to do, I will choose the smallest next step. If someone disapproves, I will not chase. I will clarify once, then let it stand. If a problem is real, I will schedule it. If it is imagined, I will dismiss it. These are not affirmations, they are laws, and laws remove hesitation. 20th law, build a public identity inside yourself. Anxiety thrives when your inner world is private chaos, so you become someone you can predict. You become consistent, the same wake time, the same work block, the same training, the same rules for screens, stimulants, and sleep. Consistency is the quietest form of dominance, and when your life becomes predictable to you, your mind stops scanning for ambushes, because it finally understands there is an adult in the room, there is a ruler at the table, there is order. Anxiety's final fortress is identity, not the world, not events, not even uncertainty. It's the belief that feeling anxious means something about who you are: weak, fragile, behind, unsafe, doomed to repeat the same cycle. That belief is the crown anxiety wears. Remove it, and the tyrant becomes a sensation, loud, uncomfortable, temporary. 21st law, you are not your internal weather. A storm can pass through a city without becoming the city, but anxious people merge with the storm. They say, I am anxious, and they mean, I am anxiety. They hand over their name, their story, their authority. A Machiavellian mind does not do that. It says, anxiety is present, not I am anxious, not this is me, just it is present. Language is not decoration, language is command. The words you choose decide who sits on the throne. 22nd law, treat anxiety as training, not tragedy. Every time anxiety appears, you are being offered a brutal opportunity. Practice governance under pressure. Anyone can feel stable when life is gentle. The real power is functioning while the body shakes, while the mind screams, while certainty is absent. So you stop interpreting discomfort as a warning and start interpreting it as resistance, like muscle burn during training. Unpleasant does not mean dangerous. 23rd law, become loyal to your future authority. Anxiety wants you loyal to your current comfort. It wants you to protect the old self, cautious, avoidant, endlessly preparing. The cure is to betray that version of you. You keep promises even when you don't feel like it. You act with clean, minimal words. You accept imperfect outcomes without collapse. You live as if you are being watched by the person you intend to become. That is the final pivot. You don't defeat anxiety by fighting it. You defeat it by outgrowing the role it was allowed to play. You don't need a new personality to end anxiety. You need a new chain of command. Because what you've been calling anxiety is often just a leaderless system. Alarms firing without policy, emotions demanding votes, imagination holding office it never earned. The cure isn't to silence the noise. The cure is to appoint authority and make it permanent. From this point forward, you stop asking, how do I feel? You ask, what is required? Required is clean. Required is simple. Required doesn't negotiate with mood, doesn't beg for certainty, doesn't wait for permission from the body. Required moves first, then lets the nervous system catch up. So when the old surge returns, let it return. Let the chest tighten. Let the mind produce its films. You won't treat it like a verdict anymore. You'll treat it like weather, present, inconvenient, irrelevant to the mission. And that's the moment everything changes. Not when you finally feel calm, When you prove, repeatedly, that calm is optional, subscribe and like if you're ready to live under your rules, not your reactions. This isn't comfort, it's command.